Hey, you guys, I'm back in the closet with another great interview. This time, we're going to talk about sex. And it is with Dr. Nan Wise, Dr. Nan, who is a sex therapist and a sex neuroscientist. Did I get that right?
You betcha.
Tell me about your path to this and how did you become a sex therapist and a sex neuroscientist?
Well, I was a psychotherapist for about 3 decades. And being a kid growing up at the sort of tail end of the 60s, we dealt with sex a lot in life. Sex was out there. So I was always comfortable with sexuality. My parents are very liberal Jews, so we didn't get any sort of indoctrination that sex wasn't okay. So as a result, I would always ask my clients, like, how's your life? How's your relationships? How's your sex life? Oh. And they talk about it. So then I got in the business of training my colleagues, having an open mind about human sexuality and not going into a judgmental place and not thinking there's only one sort of size or flavor of human sexuality. The next thing I know, I'm in graduate school at the tender age of 50. Seemed like a good idea at the time. My kids had left. And I'm like, well, I always was interested in how the brain created behavior. And I kind of fell into studying the sexual brain because nobody really knew, and still we don't know very much about it, particularly female sexuality.
You say the sexual brain. What do you mean? Like what happens to the brain pre-sex, during sex, post-sex?
All of the above. Mm-hmm. And what compelled me to go and study female sexuality and also sexuality in the brain was so little was actually known. For example, you know, every part of our body, when we have sensation, it's got to go someplace in the brain, right? No one had ever mapped where the projections, the sensory projections from the clitoris, the vagina, the cervix, or the nipples. So if you looked at this body map of the brain, it had a penis. The homunculus that had a penis, but there weren't any studies really done about female wiring. So we published a paper in 2011, which was the first systematic study of just how the brain is wired for sensation from the genitals. And you got to say to yourself, this is so basic, we don't know this? And part of it is that people have shame about sexuality, studying sex. When I did Nightline once, first thing that the correspondent asked, why do you study sex? Why not something important like cancer? I know, they actually didn't air that part, which I was very happy, but this is the attitude.
Wow.
We live in such a sex-negative culture. We don't realize it because we're bombarded with sexual images, right?
How is that? That doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because on the one hand, you're saying that we're in this puritanical society regarding sex, but on the other hand, if you watch anything on TV, you're looking. They use boobs to sell beer. They use, you know, I mean, there's like there's sex is everywhere.
We have these very strange disconnects about sexuality that end up with people having very, very significant distress about their own sexual functioning. And so I see the sexual issues that come up are really sort of a window into what's going on in our lives in general. It's sort of like a microcosm of the bigger picture of our lives.
Dr. Nan, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, like what you saw? Join Jem on social media. Subscribe to Good Enough Mother on YouTube and tell a friend.